Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, Patsun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/Am I Wrong, where a cheating ex-wife get a slap of karma. Let's begin. The best revenge you can get on someone who betrayed you is to let them live life. Posted by Reddit user You Can Have Her.
This happened 6 years ago, but I was thinking about it yesterday and decided to write it now. So once upon a time, I was married. It was a good relationship for the most part, good communication, and seldom any arguing. Over time, my wife meets a guy. Let's call him Dan. Dan, on the surface, seemed like a cool dude. He and my wife worked together and seemed very close. I didn't really care. They were coworkers. Everybody has that coworker they're close to, right? Over time, I sensed that Dan and my wife were getting too close. She texted him constantly, and I started getting suspicious. But I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to come off as jealous. One night, I snooped through her phone and found some explicit texts she sent to Dan. It basically confirmed that A, she was cheating on me, and B, she wanted to leave me for him. Even though I was pissed off that she cheated on me, I also wanted to get out of this marriage ASAP. The next day, I sat her down and told her I knew everything. There were a lot of tears on both sides and denying on her side, but she finally confessed her affair. She basically told me that she loves him and not me. We agreed that we would get divorced amicably, no alimony, and whatever was ours before the marriage is ours after it. It was a very quick divorce. Now, as much as I wanted to kick the shit out of Dan, I didn't want to risk going to jail. At this point, they were in a relationship, living together. Considering she had known him for less than a year at that point, I knew things were going to end badly. A couple of months after the divorce, I moved to the West Coast. I had no communication with my ex from then until a month ago. She messaged me on Facebook and told me she was sorry for how she treated me and that she's miserable and misses me. I decided to look through her profile. She's married to Dan, has 3 kids with him, and they're both horrendously fat.
Good Lord, how is he so fat?
Apparently, soon after they moved in together, she became pregnant with his kid. She had to quit her job because of the pregnancy and since then hasn't had a job. They got married while she was still pregnant and had 2 more kids. They're living off food stamps and government aid too. At that point, I felt vindicated. I wanted to get revenge on her and Dan for so long. To see they fucked up their own lives so bad was good enough.
Sometimes living your best life and ghosting them really is the best form of revenge. This is an excellent example for this. Although not pro-revenge level, you still did well, OP. And now for today's second story. I cheated on my wife who cheated on me 5 years ago. Posted by Reddit user Impressive Visit QDBX.
My wife, 30, and I, 32, have been married for 3 years and have been in a relationship for 8 years. 5 years ago, my wife, then girlfriend, confessed she hooked up with a random man who she met at the bar. She immediately confessed the next day. I was horribly hurt. It was a traumatic experience for me because I really loved her. It was extremely humiliating, and I texted no one about this except my ex, because at that moment, I really felt like I was drowning. However, my girlfriend showed genuine signs of remorse. She promised she would do everything to win my heart back. I hated the concept of revenge, and also I still loved my girlfriend, even though she cheated on me. It looked like my girlfriend was deeply hurt too, but she did everything in her power to win me back. And to her credit, I slowly but surely fell in love with her again. It took a lot of months of hard work, but she worked extremely hard to show how much she loved me. We married a year later, and our relationship just blossomed after marriage. Now fast forward to last week, when my ex texted me that she found out her husband had cheated on her, and if we could meet up to have dinner because she was going through an extremely difficult time. I asked my wife if I could do it, and she told me to go ahead. I also had a handcrafted bracelet from my relationship with my ex, and I asked my wife if I could take that bracelet and give it to my ex. She agreed. Well, I met up with my ex for dinner. It was extremely emotional, and she seemed really devastated. It reminded me of when I was cheated on many years ago. She was crying a lot, and to brighten up the mood, I showed her the bracelet from our earlier relationship. That actually brightened up her mood a bit, and we laughed and had a nice dinner after that. She invited me to her room after dinner. I was a bit hesitant, but agreed. But unfortunately, things happened. We got carried away, and we had sex. I immediately confessed to my wife after coming back home. She was extremely hurt, but she forgave me immediately and told me she deserved this because of what she did 5 years ago. I told her no, she didn't, and I was completely at fault, and I had no excuses for this. I'm taking active steps to understand why exactly I did this. It's been a week, and I think we're mostly back to normal, but she sometimes just cries on my shoulder. My wife forgave me and tells me I am not the asshole at all for doing it, but I think I am. Was I the asshole?
You're both assholes. Plus, you're not just an asshole, OP. You're spineless as well. Don't divorce. You two deserve each other. And now for today's third story. My girlfriend cheated. Now she regrets it. Posted by Reddit user Spiritual Neat 5432.
In June of 2022, I, 28, met my girlfriend, 26. I travel for work, so a lot of our relationship has been long distance. Before we met, she got a DUI and never told me. 2 months into our relationship, she got another DUI. I thought it was her first. I told her we would figure it out together. We broke up for 2 days that December, but she said it was a dumb, angry mistake to break up and wanted to get back together. After a few more months, I could tell how stressed she was with work and our relationship being long distance. So I told her that I made enough money to support us while she gets the DUI behind her. That following May, she quit her job and traveled on the road with me, which caused some issues because I worked so much and didn't always feel like doing something after work. But she had been home all day, so she always wanted to do something. This caused us to hit a rough patch in the relationship, which is when she started talking to her ex through emails and phone calls while I was at work. I didn't find out about this until the following November of 2023, when I was about to start a new job traveling and had plans for her to be on the road with me still. Her ex messaged me and told me about how they had been talking through email and phone calls for months. He got mad because she finally told him that she wanted to really focus on our relationship and to leave her alone. So he snitched on her. Good for him, but also fuck him for talking to someone he knows is in a relationship. When I confronted her about it, of course, she started to lie and say that it was just a friend. I didn't know who her ex was. She eventually told me that it was her ex. This is also when I found out during our 2-day breakup in December of 2022 that she had slept with her ex and lied to me about it when we got back together. Knowing all of this information, I decided to end things and left to start my new traveling job. After about a month of missing my dogs, I decided to give her another chance because she had really convinced me that I am the man she wanted to build a future with. What a mistake. Fast forward to June 20th, 2024. We had been doing good, but had another rough patch over the last 6 months. Guess who messaged me again? Her ex, letting me know they had once again been talking via email and phone calls while I was at work. He explained that she had convinced him they would get back together and she would leave me. So I confronted her and told her that all I needed to know is if she wanted to keep our dog or not. She said that I could keep the dog, and she packed her things and left. Another guess on where she went? Straight to her ex's house, which was in Mississippi. We were in Phoenix for work. After she was with him, fucked him for a couple of days, and saw that I posted an engagement ring for sale. Cost me $8,000. I am selling for $5,500. She called me, asked me if I was really going to propose, in which I responded with, "It doesn't matter anymore." She then said, "It might not matter to you anymore, but it makes me feel really stupid and that I've made a mistake. I just felt like I had to close this chapter of my life." She then talked about how the future might bring forgiveness, and I guess hopes that we might work things out. So she talked to him while we were together earlier in our relationship and fucked him during our 2-day breakup. Now she had been talking to him again, and when I told her to leave, she went straight to him to fuck him again, but wants me back in her life again. I am obviously stupid for taking her back the first time, but I'll be damned if I make that mistake again. Typing all of this out has been therapeutic. I feel like I have hatred towards the way she treated me, but at the same time, I feel like I could never hate her. I will always love her because I have never loved anyone the way I loved her. Being abandoned by nearly everyone as a child, including my parents and throughout my teenage years, I feel like she was the first person I ever truly let in and let myself feel something for. Why are people so shitty? I paid for everything, literally everything. I always opened her door. I always tried to compliment her. I always tried to buy her flowers. I always tried to make time for her, even though I was working 80-hour weeks. Question of a lifetime. Are there still people worth fighting for out there?
Ah, yes. The eternal question of why women will cheat on the nice guy they so desperately want. OP, there are still good ones out there. They're a dying species, unfortunately, but they still exist. For now, just focus on your career and yourself. Don't look back. Just leave this chapter behind you. And now for today's final story. My girlfriend paid for everyone at a restaurant except for me, which made me sad. How do I address this? Posted by Reddit user Power of Meth.
I'm not sure if I'm making this bigger than it is or not. So my girlfriend invited me and 4 other people, her mom, her best friend, and her uncle and aunt, to a burger and steak place. My girlfriend and I were already there once. It's a really great place. The burgers there are slightly more expensive than usual, but the quality is so good that most people wouldn't mind paying a bit extra for a burger. I'm talking 16 to 22 euro for a burger with small fries on the side. We all had a great time together, but when it was about time to pay, my girlfriend told the waiter that she will pay for everyone except for me. She then leans a bit to me and says, "Sorry, but you know we, her mom and her, are not so rich." The total bill was about 300 euros and my share was 30 euro. At first, she also said she wouldn't pay for her best friend, but she, her best friend, then told my girlfriend something like, "You forgot about X." I couldn't really hear it, but it was probably an open debt for something. I would definitely be really sad if I didn't hear that, and she intended to really pay for everyone except for me. It's been bugging me. I tried to find the chat where my girlfriend invited me, but couldn't find it because I wanted to make sure that I didn't misread it. I remembered it as that she said she has invited all the others and would be happy to have me there as well, and that it will be on her. It's not about the money. We don't spill bills or so. When we're out together, I will usually pay for everything, and I don't mind. When we first met, she was about to finish school and started her first real full-time job around 4 months ago. For me, it was more like, hey, she's inviting me, how nice of her. And then at the end, when she told the waiter I will pay for myself, it just sucked or took away the kindness out of the invitation, if it makes sense. I'm planning on at least talking about it, but I'm not sure if I'm making it bigger than it is or not. Advice would be really appreciated. Edit. Just to clarify here, the restaurant is medieval themed. Her uncle and aunt are huge medieval fans. She invited them because her uncle installed a new stove for them. That's why she invited the uncle and aunt. There wasn't really a reason to invite her mother other than, of course, that it is her mother and her uncle and aunt are also present. And I think she wanted to invite her mom because, well, she has her first real job and wanted to show how much of an adult she is. Her best friend is also a big medieval fan, but she would have been there anyways. Edit 2. Because there are some questions that keep popping up, and to tell you some more context. When my girlfriend invited me, it sounded like she would pay for everyone. As I mentioned, I tried to find the chat just to be sure I didn't misinterpret her, but couldn't find it. It also sounded that she is paying for her best friend, and it surprised me when she told the waiter first that she wouldn't pay for her best friend and me. BFF then told her, "You forgot about X, debt for something." And my girlfriend was like, "Oh yeah, I will pay for everyone except him, me." I commented that I make around 2.5 times as much as my girlfriend. That's true, but not because I swim in money. It is because my girlfriend has a minimum wage job. I make a decent amount, but I'm not in a position to throw it out the window or something like that. When I say that my girlfriend is in a financially tight spot, I mean it in a relative way. When my girlfriend invited me and talked about how excited she was, she also told me that she is expecting it will end up as a big bill. She thought the total would be around 400 to 500 euros. She used to be a waiter for a really expensive restaurant, so she compared it to that. While I'm not sure how much she has on her bank account, she chose to invite her close family and me for a restaurant and thought that the bill will be higher than it actually was. Everyone was modest and didn't overorder, except for her mom. Her mom ordered a 700-gram T-bone, which was probably around 80 to 90 euros. That did skyrocket the bill. The thing is, in the menu, it said that a T-bone is 12 per 100 grams, and my girlfriend told her mom that they need to ask the waiter about the size. He told them they have only a 700 and 800 grams. I couldn't see the reaction of my girlfriend when her mom ordered, but it didn't sound like she was trying to convince her mom to order something else. I got mad at her mom for ordering it, but I couldn't find any negative reaction from my girlfriend's side, so I didn't say anything. And again, it's not about the money. I'm also not planning to say or demand that we will do separate in the future. Imagine someone is inviting you to his party, you show up, and the person is telling you that you're not invited. That's a bit exaggerated, but it goes in the direction of my feelings.
That is very disrespectful to you, OP. And I don't think you're wrong for feeling the way you are right now. Look, I get that she was trying to do something special for her family, but she invited you there too. She purposefully excluded you. Reading these stories for years makes me think that she's only with you because you pay for everything. I would seriously reconsider this relationship before you suffer any more heartbreak in the future. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.